Welcome back to the channel. Another mic'd up session. We're in for pull. This is a new session that has been programmed for myself. First exercise, prime extreme row. It's not very mic friendly, hence why I'm holding it. 2 sets on here. Gonna shoot for 4 plates per side, top set. I might be overshooting it here, and then I will strip this back to 3 plates in a 10. So let's see how these first sets move. Two working sets done on the prime. Overshot both. Series piping up. Overshot both, which is not ideal, but it's not too much of an issue. It's expected when new programming is in place. You're trying to establish these baseline numbers. So when you're going on your working sets, you might overshoot some, you might undershoot some. This first week, I'm just establishing baseline numbers. Once I've got those baseline numbers, I'll look to progress from there. What I mean by baseline numbers is I know what resistance to use on certain exercises to land within the programmed rep range. Second exercise now, supinated, hammer strength pull down. Setup considerations on this bit of kit. I want to perform this unilaterally, just so I can improve the alignment between the shoulder, elbow, and the wrist. I'll also sit slightly further back on the seat itself, just to decrease the amount of elbow flexion I'm working through. Elbow flexion just being bending at the elbow. By working through less elbow flexion, I'll be able to decrease the input that's coming from the bicep. Tiny detail, but something that's definitely worth doing. Another thing with this bit of kit, if you're positioned slightly further back, you'll notice a slight decrease in resistance as you come into that shortened range, because the line of force will be moving closer to the axis rotation. But for all my gym bros out there who don't care about that kind of stuff, I'm doing it unilaterally and sitting back slightly further because it feels better. Potentially a few more reps there. However, my left side is more dominant than my right, so I always start with my right side first. So I've got 7 on the right. The 7th was an absolute fight. Just match on the left side. Mm. 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 When I'm driving through each concentric, which is the down part, what I'm thinking about is looking that shoulder down to the hip and pulling the elbow into the base of my spine. I'm not thinking about my hands at all. I'm just strapped in, using them as a hook essentially. Thinking elbow down. 2 sets, dumbbell row. Haven't done this movement since I dieted down, which was a while ago. So resetting numbers, I'm 4 kilos up from the end of that diet phase. So I should be a bit stronger, a bit heavier, more stability, can produce a bit more force. This is mainly here for skill acquisition. Dumbbell row does demand a high skill level. 45 for top set. Let's see how it moves. You're probably shocked that I'm not on a cable stack, but I think there is merit to these kind of movement patterns. Resistance profile on this is a nasty one as well. So it's going to be at its heaviest when you're in your shortened range. So at the start, we'll move nicely. As soon as you get to the top end of that rep, it's going to become extremely challenging. Felt right, to be fair. I just watched that working set back. It looked like a warm-up, every concentric, moving really nicely into that last one. When I hit that sticking point, just thought it'd be a good time to mention when it comes down to seeing these concentric slow down, thanks to a slow contraction velocity, how slow that concentric will get will depend on how stable the environment is and how nice that resistance profile is. So with a dumbbell row, is there a lot of stability present? Not really, you just brace against the bench. Is the resistance profile congruent with the strength profile? Absolutely not. It gets very heavy at that top part of the rep. So yeah, it's a pretty ugly profile. But I want to move on to second working set now, probably take 40. I've had to remove the mic on this one because of the magnet. Metal, metal, collide, not ideal. We're on to a pull down now with an upper back focus. What I'm thinking about here is driving the elbow behind the body to put the lat in an inefficient position so I can bias that upper back musculature. Lats will still be coming into it, they'll still be producing force, but just not as much as if you were to drive that elbow directly down. Look at me getting all informational. This was going to be chit chatty, but I've got my coaching head on. So take two sets here, and then we'll move on to the next exercise, which is torturous. You're probably thinking, Luke, mate, why are you leaning back so far? Again, similar to the pull down, the reason I'm positioned slightly different is just to improve alignment, so I can create a sufficient challenge to that upper back musculature. Similar again to previous cues, hands as hooks. Just think about pulling that elbow down, or like in this case, towards my face. This is brutal. Spinal flexion and extension. On the 45 hyperextension, step considerations here, just have the input pad just above the hip to cut off the hips, so you can work through that movement pattern of spinal flexion and extension. 3 working sets here, 12 to 15, and very strong, as you'll be able to see, 7.5 in each hand. On to biceps next. Got 3 working sets in this preacher curl, and then I'll move into 3 working sets on a behind the back D handle cable curl. I would normally perform this unilaterally, however, I've been in it forever. Filming these sessions takes ages, so unilateral's out the window here due to the time. I've gone fully bro here. Cable stacks taken, so I will take 3 sets of standing dumbbell curl. And that is the session done. So if you were wondering how I would program a full session, that is exactly how I would program the session. Remember to like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I will see you in the next one.